Tiana, you are one of the youngest bikini athletes ever to qualify for Olympia. How does that feel?
Uh, it's so the thing is, in all honesty, I didn't even think or care about the age aspect. I think for me, just getting to the Olympia one day, whether it's when I'm 21 or 31 or 41, like that was like the surreal part for me. So seeing you put into perspective that way, it makes me even more grateful, because like I like start smiling thinking about it. Like I'm just so excited to be on that stage and everything for in October and all that.
Yeah, it's going to be an epic Olympia. Every year they just get better and
They
better.
outdo themselves every single year.
Yes, absolutely. So take me back. You won your pro card the day after graduating high school. Is that right?
Mhm. Yes. So
Wow.
I finished my ceremony. At first I wasn't gonna go, but then I was like, okay, you're not gonna get your pro card or do well if you don't go to graduation. Like you can't neglect other parts of your life just for competing. Like you need to be well rounded. So I told myself, I said, if I go to graduation, I will have a better chance at doing well at this national show. So right after graduation, we got on a flight and then we landed that night and then competed the next day and everything.
Wow. So, what was driving you in high school to achieve big things? I know when I was in high school, I was not thinking about my future, my goals, or
Mhm.
anything like that.
In all honesty, I think it kind of clicked in 5th grade. I'm not a naturally smart person, if that makes sense, in terms of, like, secular subjects in school. So, for me, it takes a really long time to understand a concept, that they teach at school, or I would have to go home and, like, reteach myself everything, look at YouTube videos, or, just, like, watch tutorials, especially with math and history. English, it always came naturally to me, like writing, but not math and history and science. And I remember in 5th grade, my teacher had mentioned that we're gonna have a test, and I just didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't study, and I failed. And then my mom found out, and she was really upset. She said, "You can't fail. Like you need to prioritize your studies." So then I it was a weird click in my head. I just thought to myself, if I study, I will do well. I mean, it's like a no-brainer thought, but I just, I said, okay, let's try studying. Let's like make this fun. Go onto YouTube, find some ways to learn this. So after school that one day, I went up into my room. I looked onto YouTube on how to do it's called PEMDAS. It's parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division. So it was like this thing that we were learning, and I learned how to do it through that YouTube video. And then the following day I took the test and I got 100%. So then I said, "Okay, maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I just need to work because you're not going to get results unless you work for it." So after that part in 5th grade, it just kinda stuck with me throughout middle school and high school, not necessarily studying, but just working for what you want, and I realized you're not gonna get anything if you don't work for it, so that's what drove me to pursue bodybuilding as well, knowing that if I want to recover from my past, eating disorder, I need to work towards recovery. I need to do the things that make me uncomfortable in order to grow, so, yeah.
I love that. And I think that's a really pivotal point in anybody's life when they
Yes.
realize they see that hard work equals results, hard work
Yes.
equals success. And I
Mhm.
think as soon as you start to learn that and you then apply it,
Mhm.
you start to see the fruits of your labor.
Exactly, and I remember being so proud because again, like I said, I'm not a naturally smart person. I'm not one to get straight A's or 100% or anything like that, so the fact that I was able to do well on a test, knowing that I had studied and worked hard for it, I still have, like, the test framed up in my room to this day because I was so proud at my mom's house, so, you know,
That's amazing. And it just goes to show that when you do put your mind to something,
you can
anything
do
can
it.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and it just, applies to everything, like, you're not just gonna get what you dream of if you just sit and do nothing, you have to go for it, work for it, and
Yeah.
everything.
And so what made you pursue bodybuilding when you were in high school? I know in high school there's kind of the things that we do, and that's
Mhm.
school sports, we
Yes.
study. Bodybuilding isn't usually in many
Yeah.
people's vocabulary. How did you find it?
So I was 14. It was the summer going into high school, and I was watching, and at this point I was aiming towards recovery from my eating disorder. So I wanted to idolize putting on muscle, being okay with not being super thin and everything. I not necessarily rewiring my brain, but I wanted to find beauty in all body types. Um so I was watching Whitney Simmons, Chrissy Chella, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Hannah Oberg, she's from Germany. Like a lot of the OG Gymshark girls, I was following them, and then Jennifer Dory, Ashley, those were the first two bikini pros that I'd ever followed. Ashley and Adam, I watched them when I was like 14 or 15 just on YouTube and all that, and I just remember being like, "Wow, that's so cool." Like you can get your body to look like that. Like she looks like a Barbie, like a muscle Barbie. So I knew that competing at age 14 probably not realistic, but it was something I wanted to work towards. So from then on, I fell in love with just weightlifting, being at the gym, getting strong, putting on muscle. I remember following for I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Ivana I don't know how to pronounce.
Oh, yeah,
She's
and
married to Brett. But I remember seeing her physique, and I think I still have like our old messages on my old Instagram account. I was like 15, and I DM'd her because I said like, "You're such an inspiration. I want to have muscles like you." Like it's so corny thinking about it, but I just really wanted big muscles, so that's what I wanted to work towards.
yeah, and I guess having that mindset of that when you work for something, you can achieve it. I guess
Yes.
you would have seen those people with the muscles and
Mhm.
seen the possibility for yourself, which
Yes.
is incredible.
Mhm. I was really inspired because I knew you don't just get muscles overnight. You work years, decades for that. So I knew it was something that I needed to work towards. And I'm still not even at my fullest potential right now. I still have so much room to grow. So.
Yeah. And so I want to circle back to your recovery from the eating
Mhm.
disorder. How do you manage the comments now with people saying, bodybuilding is just another compulsion, it's just
Yeah.
another obsessive? What's
Mhm.
your take on that?
So I put myself in their position and I asked myself, okay, if I was just a complete outsider, I understand why they would feel that way. But the thing with bodybuilding, and again, this is just like how I feel, it helped me a lot because even when I was recovered from my eating disorder, I was severely under eating without even knowing it. Like I just genuinely was not hungry. And I remember just only wanting to eat like protein bars, protein shakes, macro-friendly recipes, just the fun stuff. And then I realized, okay, I need some fats in my diet. I need some carbs. I'm not growing because the first year and a half of me lifting, like yes, it was like newbie gains, so you do put on a good amount of size, but I didn't notice as much progress as I had wanted to. And I realized I just need to be eating more carbs. So bodybuilding helps me just, take away all the moral value from food because it helped me not dichotomize things as good or bad. I used to be scared of white rice for some reason. I just thought that it was a bunch of sugar that I didn't need. I don't even think there's sugar in white rice. It's a high glycemic index food, but it's a good carb source. It just, it's fast digesting. It helps. You're not going to get fat from carbs. That was the one thing that bodybuilding, destigmatized for me. Another thing would be proper rest too, because you can't just do a set and then right into it again. You need to rest at least 45 seconds to 2.5 minutes in between a set. I mean, for me, I rest like 4 minutes sometimes if I need it. But, it taught me about proper rest, proper recovery. You're not going to get results working out 7 days a week for 4 hours. You're not going to get results from that. I overtrained when I first started. So, it just steered me away from going down a rabbit hole of just past tendencies because when I was still recovering and like I was on and off with recovery, I think that I would be recovered, but then I would revert back to old habits such as doing too much cardio, making my workouts 3 hours long. They didn't need to be 3 to 4 hours long. That's just too long. Especially if you're moving the whole entire time. It would be different if you were resting in between sets, but so I realized, hey, your body needs rest and you're actually going to look better. And even right now, I'm reversing into my next show. My cardio is significantly lower and my food is higher. In my head, I'm thinking to myself, I need to be rigid. I need to be go, go, go. But sometimes your body just benefits from the rest. And I've noticed my body is so much it's just more revived. I feel a lot better just having this rest going into the next show. And, it's my dream prep. That's what I wanted was to work towards this part of prep where I can just maintain while still giving my body the rest so I can put my energy elsewhere as well, like with my family, with my friends. So, in short, it just destigmatized a lot of things for me and made me not go back to old habits.
Yeah, it's so, so powerful. And the fact
Mhm.
that bodybuilding has this rap of being this way that,
Yes.
I remember I got asked on the street, people ask me weird
Mhm.
questions. I remember a lady asking me, like, how many hours a day do you train? And I was
Yes.
like,
Mhm.
1.5. Like,
Yeah.
people
2 at
have this
most,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah, they have this
Mhm.
idea we're training 5 hours a day, and that's where
No.
that comes from. And I think when you learn that less is
Mhm.
more, you get to, yeah, fuel your body in a healthier way. It's so much
Exactly.
better.
Much better, and, I get the same questions too when I'm in Thailand, my grandma, my aunts, they're like, "Oh, you must be lifting the bicep curls for, like, 5 hours." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing bicep curls. I'm not doing that." So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really, really powerful that it's able to do that for somebody though. Like have
yeah.
that we have this image, and then
Mhm.
when you learn and you educate yourself, this image changes, and that's
Exactly. And it
yeah.
rewires your brain to want to grow because the thing with my eating disorder was I just wanted to shrink, shrink, shrink. I wanted, the thigh gap. I wanted stick arms, everything. And now all I want to do is just get big. So, it just reprograms your brain to see beauty in everything in a sense. But I will say even though bodybuilding helped me recover, it's not for everybody. I mean, I know a few people out there who have said that bodybuilding brought back binge eating for them because, post show and all that. And for me, I never experienced binge eating like post show. I genuinely don't have an explanation as to why. It's not fear or anything. I think I know how uncomfortable I would feel if I just binged post show. So I just don't even let myself entertain that thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is absolutely. There's no one size fits all. Everybody is
Exactly.
going to have their own experience with bodybuilding. Everyone's going to have their own experiences with food as well. And you've got to
Exactly.
find what's right for you. That's for sure.
Exactly. That's why if you're not in a healthy relationship with food and with exercise, bodybuilding might not be the route until you've healed those things.
Absolutely. I'm a really big believer in making sure that you are in a healthy place,
Yes.
with your mindset, with your food,
Mhm.
financially, everything's in a good place when you start a
Yes.
prep. I don't believe in preps being things that are going to fix.
Yes. Completely agree because it's easy to say, "Oh, I'm dealing with a breakup right now. I'm dealing with this right now, so I'm going to do a prep to distract myself." But then what happens when prep is over? You're back in that same, negative space.
Yeah. So, what would you tell somebody that's going through like a bit of a post show blues
Yeah.
moment at the moment? What would be some advice?
Well, I experienced that, last week. So, I pulled myself out of it, but you know how it is. It's like post-show, you're kind of on a high, and then all of a sudden you realize, "Hey, I'm not stepping on stage in a little bit, don't really know what to do," but I just treat it like this. Use this time that you have away from stage and treat it like your own personal project, or, like, not necessarily a vacation. I treat a show day like vacation, but treat it kind of like building blocks, I guess. So I just tell myself, hey, I'm still in prep. Even if I'm in an off season, I'm still in prep because I'm still posing, I'm still training, I'm just eating a little bit more and doing less cardio, and I can use my energy, all the extra energy that I have, towards improving my posing conditioning, um stronger on your lifts, everything. And you know, in my opinion, because when I see people on stage and when I'm at a show competing as well, I do glorify it. It's not every day that we get to put on makeup and get all pretty and done up for 5-10 minutes on stage. So it is, it's a little sad seeing all of the tiaras and the suits get put away for a little bit, but just remember, it's always like you're going to put it back on. But right now, it's just on pause for a short time while you can configure what else you need to do to make that package even better for when you step on stage, you know? Um, because so I am doing another show after this past one, just to execute the posing feedback that I got, but it is a bigger gap in between shows, so it we are softening up a little bit in between shows, and that's hard for me, not necessarily because I'm scared of being soft, but it's hard for me because I'm used to being on my schedule, my prep schedule, being somewhat depleted. So being a little bit fuller and seeing the lines fade a little bit, it makes me realize, okay, the stage isn't anytime soon. So I need to focus on what's in front of me right now. So I would say break it into steps. Don't look ahead. The one thing that I feel really proud of that I've been able to do this prep. I don't allow myself to look ahead, whether that's in my workout, my routine, my schedule. If I'm dreading squats, but I'm still on hip thrust, well, why am I thinking about that? I'm still on hip thrust right now, you know? So just literally take it one step at a time and realize, like, you can fantasize about being on stage. You can do all that, but just focus on what you'd like to get done first, and then see, like, the progress is just going to add up every single day.
Yeah, I seriously love that. What you just said about freaking out about your squats where you're still doing hip thrust,
Yeah,
that's such a common thing for
it is.
all of us to go through at some point in our
And I did it
time.
today. I was on abductions and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I have hip thrust and it's going to be 1 and 1/4 reps with drop sets, all that. It's going to be hard." And then I said, "Hey, no, 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 no. You're on abductions right now. You need to grow your outer glutes. So you're not worrying about hip thrust until you're done with your 4 sets here."
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess, being present, being intentional with everything you
Exactly.
do is going to help.
And present. That is the key thing here, is being present in every moment. Yesterday, because I'm having this little break. I went to the zoo with my boyfriend yesterday, and I found myself thinking, "Oh, when I get home, I get to have my Ninja Creamy and my protein ice cream." And then I was like, "Well, are we home right now? No, we're at the zoo. We're looking at the lions right now. So why are you thinking about your Ninja Creamy when you're with your boyfriend celebrating your anniversary at the zoo? Focus on this right now, you know?"
Yeah. So how important is it for you to have things outside of bodybuilding, outside of prep that fill your cup up?
Um, it's it's important to me, obviously, but I think, and I'm sure you can agree with this too, this is our whole entire life, in a sense, where everything that we're doing, even if we're not stepping on stage, we would still be doing this. Like, we would still be somewhat tracking, maybe, checking in with ourselves, with the coach, or just keeping ourselves accountable, still going to the gym. I mean, there are so many people out there that don't even compete, that willingly do 2 hours of cardio a day just because they enjoy it, you know? So I think for me, since it's all a lifestyle, I have no excuses not to be well rounded in other areas. So that's why I make sure you know, I'm on it in terms of supporting my boyfriend, supporting my other friends, being there to help anybody that needs it. Even my mom, like she lives about an hour away from me. Her workplace, excuse me. So she still stays with me at our house, but she also commutes like an hour or two from work. So sometimes if she needs me to help get stuff for her restaurant, like I need to say yes. You know, it's not necessarily like I have to, but I get to. I get to help. I get to be present and show people around me how much I love them. I would say more than anything, it's not the activities outside of bodybuilding that I harp on, it's the people and the community and making sure that everyone around me knows that I'm here for them. I love them and I'm going to support them no matter what.
Yeah, it's so important to have a good circle of people that
Yes,
support you, but also you support them.
exactly. Because, you know, yes, it is an individual sport in a sense where we are working on ourselves, but you know, the support does go a long, long way. And I always say this, but I really wouldn't be here without everybody in my corner, everybody in my journey, everybody supporting me. You, like all my friends, you know, you guys all play a role in that. And it's just it's very important for me to make sure I'm giving back to the community and just like to other communities in general, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Mhm.
when you first started in bodybuilding, what was your definition of success and what's changed and how is your definition of success now?
That's such a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before or like in those words. I would say, and I'm just going to be like completely upfront about this, my first 2 seasons competing, so that was my rookie season and then my rookie pro season, I looked at success as in doing like first call outs, like doing well. And obviously I understood that I was bettering myself and my mindset throughout prep and I was very adamant on that, but I thought that success was only categorized by doing well on a test, doing well on, you know, at your show, but it's not what bodybuilding is about because if you don't have that passion and that love for what you're doing, the win's probably not even going to be that special for you because it's like, oh, another check in the book next, you know? So for me, as I went through season after season, you know, I've done 4 seasons now. Every season I learn that something that I'm fearing deep down is gonna happen. This year, the first show of the season, I told myself, "You're gonna go into this show with 0 expectations because every season's different. You took some time off, you have a new physique, you're coming in like 8 pounds heavier. You don't know what's going to happen, so do not expect first call outs. Do not expect first place. Don't even expect a top 5." Like I told myself that. And it wasn't to be negative, but it was just to tell myself, no matter the placing, I'm still going to continue to do this because I genuinely love the process. I love waking up and doing my posing. I love my cardio. I love meal prepping. I love my Ninja Creamy. I love training, you know? I love everything about this and I love the people that I meet. And I think success is the impact that you can make because every day I'm so privileged to connect with people that say, "Hey, I also have scoliosis and it gives me inspiration that you compete and you also have scoliosis." Or, "Hey, I am also recovering from an eating disorder and seeing your page inspired me to not be scared to have that bagel after my workout." You know, that is what I define success. If I can reach just one person or show them you need to take that risk. That is what I define as success is the impact that I can make. And over time, I've learned that the win just gets less and less important, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, we do this because we want to win. I won't lie. Like, winning feels great. But if you don't win, that's okay because you're still doing what you love and only 2% of the population does what we do. You know, like the vast majority, they can't tell the difference between a top Olympian and a top amateur competitor at most, you know, especially in bikini, like, not a lot of people can tell. My aunt actually looked at the show that I had competed in and I won, and then I showed her a picture of Laura Lee because she's our standard, and, my aunt couldn't really differentiate between, like, a top Olympian and a pro. like, that just won a local show. So, the vast majority, it doesn't matter. So who are we trying to impress? We're not impressing anyone. Let's just do what we love and inspire people and use your passion to help other people find their passion. And you're going to have ups and downs along the way. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I love that. I guess at the at the end of the day, it's all just not that big of a deal,
It's
right?
really not. Like this season, I'll admit, like after Wasatch, so I got fifth place there. So I thought to myself, wow, like I really wasn't expecting fifth place. So I just thought to myself, wow, I can't believe I placed top five my first show back. My goal for the next show is going to be hopefully a first call out again and hopefully a top five because I don't want to drop down. I thought that to myself. And that was my first wrong thought, because guess what happened at the next show? I got ninth. So, you know, that happens in bikini. And then I realized that was my little fear deep down, dropping placings. And then it was the universe or God or my physique basically just saying, hey, we're gonna drop you down this show. Sorry. Just deal with it. And I thought I was gonna be upset or like sad and a little bit defeated from that, but I genuinely just was like, actually, this is kinda cool because I did fear this, but I had a gut feeling it was going to happen this season. So this just is gonna, propel me to keep trying because at the end of the day, whether I place first or last, I'm still gonna do what I do? So I just kind of brushed it off and I was like, I'm excited, I'm happy. I'm gonna just go on to the next show and, have no expectations again. So yeah.
And how did your mindset shift after that ninth place going
Mhm.
into the next show? What were you telling
Mhm.
yourself when you were entering that peak week?
So it was like back to back peak weeks. So I just got right back to work. Adam said, you're going to have a good leg day on Sunday, and then we're going to do our depletion days, and then we're going to get back to work. And the difference between that ninth place and my next placing, which was fifth again, it was the expectation. I literally just said, well, I'm doing this because I love it. It's a passion. So why am I expecting a certain outcome? Because I can't control that? And it was a high, that show, Legions that I did, I was going to be on stage with people that I've looked up to for years and years. Eureka, Alice was there. Um, like so many high level competitors. So I told myself, I know my place, and my place is no expectations. I'm going to go into this show and I'm going to honor those around me and I'm going to celebrate those around me. And going into that show, I actually had a gut feeling and I really wanted this for Alice too. I told her, it was like right after prejudging, I told her, I was like, I have a feel like it's yours. Like I just really wanted that for her, especially she was fighting for so long this season and just
Mm.
improving from show to show, just like every athlete. But being able to see her passion in person and just her whole heart pour into that show, like I just really wanted the win for her. I have like goosebumps talking about it. I love seeing people win. So my mindset going into that show was just to be ready to congratulate the winner, Alice. And I just manifested that win for her going into that show. Not that my manifestation was the reason for the win. That's not what I'm saying. But I just really wanted it for her. She won because she's Alice. She's amazing. She had the best physique, and the judges clearly saw that. So I was just really excited. Um, I think sportsmanship will take you a really long way because we all work so hard to be on stage. So it's like when you see somebody win, be ecstatic, be happy because guess what? That moment doesn't take away from you whatsoever. Somebody's light does not dim your own light. We're all just doing this together. So for me, after Legion going into Nevada, when I saw the sportsmanship that I had embodied, be replicated for me when I won, that was a very humbling and surreal moment for me, and I never thought that I would experience that anytime soon.
Yeah, it's beautiful seeing the support that you give because it makes other people feel so seen, feel
Yeah.
so proud of themselves. And then, of
Mhm.
course, when that comes to you and you win, everyone
Yeah.
else is so supportive and excited for you
It's
because,
it's
yeah.
so beautiful. I mean that's why for me, I don't know what's wrong with Instagram and the algorithm, but when I wanna see all of my friends' posts, I search them up, and I just really wanna support their pages because we all work so hard to produce amazing content too, so I want people to know your content, your work, what you're doing, it's appreciated, whether Instagram wants to throw it out there or not. Like, I appreciate it, and I read every single caption that somebody posts. I read everything because I love it. I see the thought behind it, and it's just so admirable, you know?
So, how do you deal with the pressure of being seen as someone who's achieved so much so young? Do you feel like that's going to be something you have to uphold now, being this high level athlete?
Um, in all honesty, no, because my coach, Adam, he is very realistic with me, and I'm very realistic with myself. And he even put it into perspective for me, too. He said, "So I understand you just want to show. However, you're not at your fullest potential yet. And it's not like you're going to go and like be Ashley the next day." And I obviously know that. And I'll be the first to say I am not at my fullest potential. I have a lot of room to grow. So for me, I think the nice part is maybe some people see me as a high level athlete. I don't see myself that way. I really don't. Like every show, I will prepare myself for first, second, third, or fourth call outs. Like genuinely. And even at the last show where I won, I told myself, "Hey, I might get second calls, I might get third calls, I might get dead last, like, who knows, you know?" So, I don't see myself that way, even if other people might see it that way, maybe, I never will see myself that way, so that just takes away all the pressure, you know, like, going into this next show, who knows how I'm gonna do? I might do better, I might do worse, and that's not the point of why I'm doing this next show, and I think for me, knowing that I'm able to grow in prep and improve and get stronger and work on my mindset, that's where my own pressure comes in, is that I wanna be upliving like, I wanna be upholding that standard that I have for myself to be the best person that I can be, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And, you know, if somebody expects me to win and I don't win, I don't care, if that makes sense. I just, it's bikini. It's volatile. It could be anyone's day. And, I know a lot of people out there when they see shows and they see a winner or they see somebody who didn't place the way that they thought they would have placed because of their status or like being high level. I never really think like that because again, you don't know what the judges are looking for that day. And you also don't know unless you're there in person to see what was shown on stage and everything.
Absolutely. Bikini is
Hmm.
such a anyone's game, exactly what you just
It
said.
really is.
It really comes down to who is there on the day, how are
Hmm.
they showing up, who's judging, who have you stood next to.
Exactly. And that's why for me, I'm never going to consider myself a high status pro, if that makes sense. Like even though I'm privileged enough to be Olympia qualified, I I don't see myself that way and I don't think I ever will. And that's not me being negative, but that's just, it's me preparing myself for any outcome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just how I view it.
So, how do you navigate the tension then between wanting more and wanting to be your best, but
Mhm.
also being proud of yourself?
Yeah. It's hard. I will admit it's very hard because I'm rarely proud of myself. I'm very hard on myself. I would say when you know you've truly done everything in your power to bring your absolute best, whether you win or lose, if you know you really couldn't have done anything else, that's when I feel proud at least. At my last show, I keep circling back to my last show because that was a really proud moment for me because there was a lot that I was navigating through and I was learning different ways, different strategies to cope with well, I already talked about this, but to cope with my anxiety and OCD, the week leading into my peak week, I didn't even think that I would be stepping on stage the following week because of my OCD and my anxiety. I was making up a story in my head and I had, like, a little bump on my head, and I don't know what it was, and it's still here. I think it's just, like, a cyst or something, but I was making up stories in my head that it could have been something much worse, and that's what was on my mind, and I just had to snap out of it, and the fact that I was able to compete at the show, be present with those around me, be present and on time with everything, with meal timing, with check-ins, with everything, and knowing that I was able to just put those problematic thoughts on hold, be there for those around me and for myself, that's why I felt proud, and that's why I said my win was a miracle because I didn't even think that I would get first call outs at that show. I really where my mindset was at, which honestly, now that I'm looking back, it's all a blessing in disguise because dealing with anxiety and OCD, it truly makes you only care about what you're doing, and you don't worry about anything else, about who else is showing up to the show, who else is gonna be there, like, I could have cared less, in all honesty, like, I couldn't have cared less. I just wanted to make sure that this lump on my head wasn't anything bad, and, looking back, it's a blessing in disguise because it really just keeps you in your own lane, so now I'm like, "Okay, great, this little bump on my head is my good luck charm." But, it's overcoming little obstacles, little hurdles that you might experience. That's how I'm able to be proud of myself, whether I win, whether I lose. If I truly was able to calm myself down, do it on my own, and still manage to just be my full authentic self and always embody kindness, then I will be proud.
I
Um,
love
but I expect a lot from myself, not in terms of placing, but in terms of my mindset and how I carry myself. If I know that I could have done better, then I will harp on it for a long, long, long time, you know? Um, Even at the gym, there was somebody at the gym who came up to me and asked how many sets I had left, and I was, like, out of breath, so I was like, "Sorry, give me 1 second, 1 second." And then I was like, "So sorry, like, I just have 2 sets left." And then they were like, "Oh, okay," and walked away. So then initially in my head, I was like, "Was I rude? Oh my god, was I rude?" No, and I was so disappointed in myself for, like, a day and a half, like, 2 days. I was just like, "That was so mean." Like, you could have just taken the time to take off your whole entire headset and but then I'm sure that person didn't care, you know? So it's like I'm just very hard on myself on how I make others feel because I'm a sensitive person. If somebody were to hurt my feelings, I'd be sad. So I don't want to do that to anybody else.
Yeah, and I guess it's just circling back to same as what we said before, like, it's not that big of a deal a lot of the time
Not.
when we overthink and we start to panic about, "Oh my gosh, did I say the wrong thing? Did I say the right thing?"
Yes.
When we think about it,
Yes.
like, they probably didn't even think too much of it, probably went
No,
in
not
one
at
ear,
all.
out the other.
Exactly. And one thing I've learned is that at the end of the day, you need to do what you need to do, and it's not going to be perfect every day. You're not going to have a textbook definition like level of perfection in your life. Like you're not going to be perfect. So don't even expect that from yourself. So on the days where I feel like, oh, I wish I did better, I go back to, okay, why do I feel like I could have done better? Did I leave something off the table? Chances are I probably did if I felt that way. So it's being honest and realistic. Uh going into that last show, I felt like a little bit not like I felt sore, so I just thought to myself, "Am I over posing my lower back?" And then I was like, "That's an excuse. You've been posing nonstop for years. It's not because of posing, it's because you haven't been stretching." So, you have to really figure out why you're feeling a certain way and not find other excuses or other things to cut out because you are feeling that way. It's being honest with yourself. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
The way we speak to ourselves and the way we speak about ourselves is really important because that's going to determine our reality. And if we're telling ourselves excuses and then we're beating ourselves up about things, it's only going to harm us in the long run.
Exactly, and honestly, I overthink about being redundant all the time, like, I always apologize for saying how grateful I am, but one thing that I'm trying to call myself out on is just, this is who I am. I'm always gonna be grateful, and if somebody has an issue with that, so be it. I can't harp on that because it's just who I am, so at the end of the day, not that big of a deal if somebody thinks you're annoying, you know?
Yeah, literally. So if you could go back to your younger version of yourself, the girl who's just starting out in bodybuilding, who is discovering her mindset and learning about all these things, what would you tell her about what's going on right now in your life?
I would tell her everything that you're doing right now, every mistake that you're making, don't don't think that you shouldn't make those mistakes. You need to make those mistakes in order to learn, and everything that is happening to you, it's happening for you. It's all going to make sense at the end, as cheesy as that sounds. And then another thing would be, do not hyperfixate on things that you know deep down you just can't control. You can't control your family members' actions, your friends' actions, anybody's actions. So why even bother about that? And why even entertain that? Just focus on what you need to do to better yourself. And another thing I would say is, don't, because one thing that I used to do when I first started when I was 14, don't compare your progress to other people's progress, because there are people out there that can make 2 years worth of progress in 6 months. Genetics, all that stuff, work ethic, everything. Just focus on what you're doing and stop trying to be like somebody else. You can look at other people for inspiration, but don't try to be someone.
Absolutely. That's so,
Mhm.
so important. And I love that advice. I think that that's so important for anyone listening to focus on themselves, focus on what you can do, improve yourself, and be present, be intentional with
Yes.
you and nothing else.
Exactly, because you're gonna look back at all of this and you're gonna miss it. Like, for me, when I won my pro card, I still fantasize about that day. I wish I could go back to that day and relive everything, you know? And I'm happy that I was present in that moment, because it makes it that much more special for everything. Like, even yesterday at the zoo with my boyfriend, being present, it's a memory that we're gonna look back on and everything.
Yeah, and just going through life knowing that you are being present and knowing that you're giving it your all, you're able to look back with a nicer thought process. If you have a prep
Exactly.
where you're not present, you're stressing out, you're, not ticking the boxes because you're worried about all these external things, you're gonna
Exactly.
even if you win, it's not gonna feel good.
It's not. And don't get distracted with social media too. That's another thing. If, like, really, that's why I'm really not active on social media that much. Like, I used to post all the time just to document things, but now I'm just like, I just post when I feel like it now. But
Yeah.
just don't hyperfixate or focus too much on anything really. Just, do what you want to do what you need to do, and then when you have that downtime, then you can doom scroll on social media. But don't get distracted by it, because social media doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. And again, be intentional. Be intentional with your rest. Be
Exactly.
intentional with your time. If you're going to be on social media, do it when you actually can focus on it and actually just enjoy
Exactly.
chilling.
Exactly. That's why, like, and you're the same way too. When we post, we want to put out something that people will be able to learn from or benefit from it. We don't just want to post,
That's
So,
it. That's it.
yeah.
Well, Tiana, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
Mindset
you
Lounge
for having
podcast.
me.
It's been so amazing to get a little bit more insight in your mind. I'm really, really impressed with the level of professionalism, the way you conduct yourself at such a young age. At
Thank
the end
you.
of the day, our age doesn't really matter, but the fact that you've been able to overcome so much and achieve so much at so young is amazing. I'm really excited to
Thank
see
you.
what
That means
you have.
so much. I sound like a broken record. I always say that, but it really does mean so much, because I have a hard time seeing myself the way that you might see me, and vice versa. So it means a lot. Thank you.
You're so welcome, my girl. Well, I wish you all the best for the next few shows. I wish you best for your prep. I'm going to be cheering you along for this Olympia debut. It's going to be so incredible. And you're going to have so many more Olympias coming up. I am very,
And
very
you're
sure
gonna
of that.
join me. You're gonna join me.
Yes, absolutely. Gosh, when one day soon we'll be in the same show together, and I'm so
We
excited
will.
for that.
And hopefully I get to watch you win and be there for your winning moment. That'll
I
be a
would
really cool experience.
I would absolutely love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for joining in on our conversation. And I will speak to you all in the next episodes. Bye.